So are you actively then committing treason by failing to be responsible and accountable for your national debt?
Hey, if you want me to be responsible for my national debt, I'll make sure that Mom takes you off of her Social Security.
It's not hers.
It is.
No, it isn't.
Well then, she can drop you off of hers and you can get what you're entitled to.
Tell her to. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you know what will happen. She'd never do it.
So are you failing to answer the question of whether or not you're responsible and accountable for your national debt? I took more responsibility than you did.
You won't be a contributing member of a society.
I already am, actually.
No, actually,
In fact, I'm doing it right now.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
You can keep on just saying, no, I didn't pay for contradiction. I paid for an argument.
What other people put into the Social Security system, of which you did nothing.
Bullshit.
How many transactions do you think you'll be doing a month?
As many as necessary throughout the month. I need to establish that the currency I'm using is not the espionage and treason as established by the Treasury Department,
Okay.
and it will need special management.
Okay. Such
And I
as,
have a doctrine to prove it.
okay, what kind of special management did you need on that?
Proper accounting.
Okay.
Are you insured federally?
We are.
Excellent. So that should make it easy.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you give me,
I had a budget fixed out over 25 years ago at the house that Jack built, and that called for at least $8,000 a month, and that also didn't account for inflation. I've only been getting $800. That's a 10% of what I'm supposed to be getting.
They can't do anything about that.
Right, but if I establish in a bank that is federally insured that my currency is not the espionage and treason they're using, that's special accounting. And it isn't graded the way the espionage and treason is accounted for. I.e., when your money value goes down because people won't repay the debt, causing it to be exponentially less valuable, mine doesn't do that. Mine gets more valuable the more I have, not less. I'm establishing that my currency is not the currency as been established by Reaganomics. I do not use espionage and treason as currency. I have a doctrine to prove honesty, integrity, and I believe that you would have the capability to not only help establish but maintain the value of that currency, and I would like to do that through your bank.
Yeah, Jeanette kind of told me a little bit of you guys doing Social Security as far as getting direct deposit and stuff.
Right.
And starting.
Are you guys already set up? Are you getting
Yes.
Social
I'm
Security
already
checks right
yes.
Yes, his money is going to Chase Bank at the moment.
now? Okay.
But there are no Chase Banks
Yeah,
here.
unfortunately, there's not. I think I seen one other ATMs like on San Pedro and Constitution. I think there's
No,
one other.
There are none.
Is it okay if I plug in my charger?
Yeah, go ahead.
Greatly appreciate it.
The only thing is that obviously to open the account, we would have to move outside because
Yes.
there's. I have to do it through the computer there.
Right.
I wanted to establish with you in a private
Yeah, no,
conversation
that's fine.
about the intent and principle of
Yeah,
the
I understand completely where you guys are coming from. Now, the only thing is, are you guys going to be setting up a joint account or just a single account?
Well, for a while anyway, we want it to be a joint account.
Okay.
So that I can,
help monitor
Help him.
and maintain.
Okay. That works. Another thing is, do you guys have your Social Security cards and IDs with you? Okay,
I have an ID with me. I have two forms of federal ID.
Okay.
I have my professional service ID.
Mr. Bradford, do you have a state issue ID though?
I do.
Yeah, okay, so I would need this, yeah, this one we actually don't accept to open the accounts. We actually need what it is, a driver's license and a social. Thank you, sir. And this is your, the current address right now, the 6205 Antigua Street Northeast?
no, That's my address. Do you want mailed things to come to me, or do you want them to come to you?
Electronically to both of us.
I can do one electronically, like an email to either or. There's no way for me to send two statements since we only do the one.
Hold on a second.
If you want it electronically, we'll send it through an email.
Send it to her actually then.
Just a paper one then?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just have to meet once a month at the least.
Which is what we do pretty much anyway.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna use this address for both of you guys then, the 6205 Antigua. That way,
Yes.
there's
Continuity.
Also, who's gonna be primary on the account?
Well, it's his money, so
So it'd be my primary. Her.
Okay. You okay, Mr. Garcia, so you.
I'll only be helping him.
Okay. But if you're having access to the account, we have to set you up as a secondary user.
Sure.
On it. Okay. All right. Yeah. If you guys want to go with me outside, we can set it up on the computer out there.
Okay. As far as account management and value establishment, because inflation wouldn't necessarily work the same way. I have a doctrine if you'd like to read it to prove it, but
No, that's fine.
because they keep on refusing to repay their debt, the value of the money exponentially goes down. Mine not being the espionage and treason that they're committing, I would want federal accounting for the value of it not going down the longer I hold on to it.
Well,
That's something that,
that's something that we don't
It's-
have control over. That's bank. I mean, as far as a bank,
In accounting.
well, technically,
well,
not really. I mean, we are a financial institution, and your money is going to be safe here. To the point, whether the bank gets robbed or not, your money's still safe. If currency, for some reason, federal currency happens
Can
to
you measure it in
devaluate,
something other than United States dollars than when I deposit it?
what do you mean?
Well, United States dollars is currently since Reaganomics.
Yeah, no,
espionage
okay,
and
so,
treason.
are you
If I
trying
want to
to,
measure it, I don't want to have any association with the espionage and treason that is being committed. So if we can measure it in if we have to silver
no,
or
we,
tin
yeah,
and
we
automatic
don't
investments,
exchange that, no.
you don't
There's no way for us to exchange
you
that.
don't do investing?
We do investing, but it's gonna be in dollars anyways.
yeah, you
can
give
invest
them
it
dollars
into,
to
you can
buy.
invest it into any other company if you're trying to invest money, which
Well,
is
I'm not-
in the stock market. Yes, we do have access to doing that.
Setting values is what I'm looking to do, which is what the investment actually is.
Unless you're willing to invest more than $10,000, we don't do it. To be honest with you,
Well, what's $10,000 in espionage and treason versus
I
$10
wouldn't be
of
able to
honesty?
tell you honestly.
And
I mean, that's
a fair.
that's the thing. I don't know, banks or maybe a credit union can do that for you because they are not federally regulated. They have different.
The movement would have to be federal in order for it to be a national.
Yeah, but they don't work by this. They have certain regulations that they access to and certain that they don't because again they're not a federal or how can I explain this? I guess credit unions are just opposite of what a bank is. They're
Well,
not.
it used to be just money change,
Yeah.
which would have made this
Yeah.
a whole lot easier, but then there was a whole discrepancy about what the responsibility for money changer in the bank was.
Yeah, but
Story
as far as
of
as far as
just
value,
the
as far as what you're asking for, we cannot provide. That's the bottom line on this one.
You're not going to have any bank be willing to receive your money
And keep
then.
track of it rather than espionage and treason. Is
Well,
that
they
what
will
you're trying to
keep,
tell?
no, they
But we're
will
gonna
keep track of
but
it.
we have to.
They will
I mean,
absolutely.
you don't have to use espionage and treason. Technically, if a citizen comes to you with the understanding of what the currency is, you do,
No,
as a
but
federal bank, have the
we-
right to count it differently.
We can't. Unfortunately, we cannot provide that service
Why not?
because that's something that we just do not do. We have to report everything to the government.
Right, which is why I want it to be reported differently because it is not espionage and treason.
Yeah, unfortunately,
So
you
you're-
would have to
you're-
talk. You would have to talk to one of my boss's boss.
Can we
I
do
guess.
that? Can we
Um,
set up a meeting?
We can. I don't know about them coming down here
A phone call?
this minute.
Talk
But yeah,
about
I can ask
setting-
my manager if she can call. But other
Because it's exponential geometric.
than, yeah,
asymmetric
let
law.
me get somebody on the phone. Okay.
Right.
Give me a second.
Margaret Branch.
So you guys are wanting to open a checking account with us, or what
Yes.
is it that you're looking?
Looking to open a checking account with you and establishing an accounting properly of currency.
Okay.
Honesty, integrity, and respect as opposed to espionage and treason through economics. Exponential, geometric, asymmetric growth.
What kind of account were you guys opening?
A checking account.
To begin with,
And
at the
what are
very
you guys
least,
gonna deposit?
depending on the
I'm
accounting.
sorry.
What are we gonna deposit to the account today?
How much do you need?
A $50,
Yes,
Cash
we'll open
deposit.
it. We'll open it.
and how are you gonna maintain the account, like what type of transactions or?
Social Security disability
Okay,
will come in every month.
And then with proper accounting, the value of that should be exponential through federal law. As established already through accounting through economics.
okay. So, and were you gonna set up a direct deposit, or? Okay.
Yeah.
So did you guys wanna go get that started, or?
Well,
There
the-
was a question about.
Yeah. Well, he had a question about the value of his money being.
Degraded by
Yeah.
improper accounting, and if we could actually establish a proper accounting of the currency here,
Wow.
as it is a federal bank and it is insured thusly.
Mhm. So, I mean,
You, by that, do you mean that your
Well, see,
your money would
every
come?
second that goes by, the dollar's value is actually exponentially dropping because the more espionage and treason you have, the less it's worth. Whereas if you were to put a marker down and say, okay, that's $435, it's not espionage and treason, it's honesty, integrity, and respect. Its value, just by staying the value that it is, will become exponentially more valuable just by the fact that they're not repaying their debt. In comparison.
And that's what I was trying to explain to you. I mean, we can't do that. That's government regulated. I
You're
mean,
federally insured.
It's
yes,
only
your money's
insurance.
federally insured.
It's not insurance, you don't need insurance.
Your money's federally insured. As if something happens, you're
Right.
gonna
you're
get one.
guaranteed to get the
Right.
money
Yeah, but
back.
You're guaranteed to get
What
your
I'm
money
saying
back.
though is, if you count it as everyone else's money, what you would be giving me back is actually less than what I'm trying to put into your bank.
See, that's the thing. We're just
Because
so
of
if
what
you
I
deposit-
just explained with the static,
Yes, I understand what you're explaining.
just
to us,
the
but
fact that it
that's-
doesn't lose the value that
that's
the
nothing that
US
we-
currency does,
That's the
makes
thing
it that much more valuable.
That's nothing that we can control.
And that's not even counting the fact that it will continuously be putting more money into it.
Yeah,
The only
that's-
the only thing federal here is the insurance, the FDIC insurance.
Right.
Which is based off of what currency? Sense
United
economics,
States.
US
which is
currency.
espionage and treason.
But
Which
it's-
isn't insurance at all, it's just they say, you say.
well,
By
that's-
definition,
That's the thing.
with the
I
currency.
mean, that's the best.
all
thing
you have
we
to
can
do is
offer.
decide,
We
to keep
can't-
We
track.
can't make that
We
decision
can't.
Like-
as employees of the bank.
They don't have that kind of.
who in the bank does? Because somewhere in this bank has to be someone with the ability to make that decision.
No.
Otherwise, they can't be
can
We're
federally
only-
insured.
federally governed, so
Right.
they're the ones that tell us what to do.
They
So the
tell,
people that I need to talk to are the people who are governing you.
Right.
Who are they?
The feds.
The feds. Like the
The
federal.
federal.
That's not,
The Federal Reserve. That's
because
who controls.
if you follow it back all the way, it comes down to being the citizen that's responsible for it, if you go to the feds. That's what they'll say. It's up to the citizen, so
No, it's not up to us.
Yeah. So because then again, it'd be up to you.
did they tell you that you're not citizens of this country?
no,
Because then they don't have the right to tell you not to.
No, they didn't. They didn't say anything about that. But if
No.
like
Hold on a
I'm
second,
a-
hold on a second. So the people who governed you told you that you weren't allowed to decide what your currency is?
So are you like recording this conversation?
Oh.
Did you wanna open an account with us
I
today or
do,
not?
but I need, this is federal evidence of federal, what is it? when you neglect. Since Reaganomics, the currency has been espionage and treason. And if they're keeping you from being able to use anything other than espionage and treason, that's federal neglect. So I'm trying to find out from you who I need to talk to make sure that you and I can have a partnership with actually having a currency worth keeping track of. So,
What
if-
a bank.
is there a specific federal department that told you that you are not able to make this decision?
I work for
Do you
the
know, or
company,
did-
I don't know.
Okay, appreciate
So,
it.
There is no bank that will give you what you
Yeah,
what you
World
want.
Bank.
Well, you're not gonna find a bank a bank that you can
The
go
World
to and
Bank is
have a
supposed to
checking
be
account with.
funding this bank, that's why it's the World Bank, which is
No,
why you're supposed
they're
to be able to
separate
do
things.
this.
It's a
Not
separate
since
thing.
you went to espionage and treason with Reaganomics, no it's not.
okay, so I don't have
Okay.
the answers to the questions you're
Right.
asking,
Uh,
so
Is there anyone in the building at this point?
No, sir.
No, okay, appreciate it.
What they can do is help you handle your day-to-day cash.
That
They
is
can't
fine and
do
dandy.
anything about the
But if
value.
they are being imposed upon to the point where they can't keep track of honesty, integrity, and they are forced to keep track of espionage and treason, that's federal neglect. And that's civil and
And
constitutional
it's-
law violations that are being
it's
imposed upon
something
them.
you'd have to
Technically,
take
that's
up
rape and
with-
jihad
You'd have to,
by civil and constitutional law, and terrorism technically.
you would still have to handle those concerns
It's
with
already
the
been
federal
handled.
government.
I've got a doctrine that proves it all. There's nothing to stand in the way other than the fact that people are deciding not to. And if people are being told that they're not to by authorities, I need to gather those names.
What
When
you
would be a
can,
good time to set up an appointment with someone with the authority to make those calls?
there
do
is
you
no
know?
one here.
there's no one.
There's no one here with direct ties with the federal government,
No,
and they're federally insured?
yes.
Is the owner ever in or able to have a meeting?
We're, our home branch is out of Oklahoma,
Okay.
so
Would there be
the Bank of Oklahoma that we,
They're underneath another bank.
They are our parent company, basically.
But each of those banks are regulated in the same way.
I mean, like I said,
It doesn't matter if they're regulated in the same way if they're all forced to use espionage and treason as currency. That's not regulated.
What
You can't
you're-
regulate espionage and treason. All you're
Okay.
doing is defrauding the government.
What this bank can do for you is to be a depository for your money and to help you track where your checks are going or
When would, is it possible to set up communications with the owner of this bank after opening up a savings account?
I don't know the owner of the bank.
Okay. Do you have a telephone number that they supply you with? So people can talk to the owner of the bank in case there's an issue?
I've never had that request, but I can sure check and see.
That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
okay, let me have her check stuff and then I'll bring that phone number back to you guys, okay?
All right. Thank you. All the
there's no way they can.
honesty, integrity, and respect just in and of itself is 13 times more valuable than espionage and treason. The fact that people are using espionage and treason and refusing to look at it as espionage and treason makes it worth that much less. The fact that you all are continuously using it as a currency is fraud. By definition, under standard, the standard of all standards. It's sacrilege, it's blasphemy, it's jihad, and it's rape.
Well, then we might as well just accept the fact that you're not going to be able to get another account.
And
Because
you've
no
got that
bank
from
here-
where, considering what I've already established. And you're speaking for who, considering you refuse to acknowledge what I've already said? Because that's rude.
You handle it. And if you decide to open an account today, I will be that secondary person on it.
Okay.
able to make 800 turn into 8,000.
I could. It would take less than a minute.
I'm just telling you what my limitations are.
You're not as an accountant, you should know that.
As an accountant, I know the way it works. Otherwise, you are stuck with an account that you are going to chronically be overdrawn in because there's no agreement.
Because you all refuse to use anything other than espionage and treason as currency.
I use what is accepted in this country.
Because you choose to accept it. Whereas I choose to actually understand the standard of the nation, live and died for it. Over and over and over and over and over again. While you people just run around committing espionage and treason, collecting. Woohoo! Who cares about the country? Let's pretend to be worried about Medicare. Who cares about the fact that currency is espionage and treason? We don't have enough espionage and treason to treat your disease. Because that makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, like I said, you do the negotiating.
I'm gonna go check to see how Serena's doing.
So who?
Currency used by the families to afford the ability to commune. Especially between houses or to establish a principle, starting with bartering, then stones, sticks, and coins, later to be based off standards such as gold, silver, and other established values or necessities established by the house. These standards then came to be valued by the standard more than the commodity, shifting to paper monies, as well as progress in digressing cultures through cash crops, affording for the re-establishing of the original ideal, i.e. macro, micro, nano, opto growth. As well as responsibility and accountability for said or unsaid ideal. After the West shifted from the gold standard, it became based off debt, affording for the realization that currency is what is used for commune of the ideal, and thus can shift through necessity and evolution of the culture, i.e. once you borrow to establish a debt, saying the value of the commune, and thus can shift through necessity and evolution of the culture, i.e. once you borrow to establish a debt, setting the value of the commune, the repaying of the debt, and the shifting of the value from debt to honesty, integrity, and even respect, depending on the integrity of the repaying of the debt. Once established, refusal to repay the debt becomes espionage and treason. Espionage against all other countries whose community's value is degraded by the refusal to repay the debt, and treason for the same reason only against your own government. Commune ictum, commune ictus, commune edicio, commune iri, commune icto, communism. Sole noci. Sanchi can for anarchy press 313 cells.